Yo, what's good guys, it's your boy Bama and we're back with another video. And as you guys can see by the title of the video, today we're going to be doing a champions tier list on AFS. I've been wanting to do this for a very long time, man. I thought about my list for a good time now and I think this one's going to be pretty good. So before we get into the video, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that would help me out a ton. We're on that road to 10k, bro. Can I get some hashtag road to 10ks in the comments? And you know, I greatly appreciate everybody that supports my videos, so if you could do those things for me, since you know I'm giving you this tier list, that would be greatly appreciated. And let's get right into the video. All right, so you know, I guess to go ahead and start it off, I'm gonna just list my D tier. You know, this one really doesn't matter. Any unit that's in the D tier is kind of bad. If you think that I should have put more units, I guess let me know, but I don't think D tier is that important, so I'm just gonna kind of go through it really fast. So for D tier, you know, I just have, you know, Jiraiya, Naruto, like the regular Naruto, Tanjiro, Facita, Tomioka, and Boo. Those are kind of the D tier characters for me. I don't know, like I say, you can let me know down below if you feel different. And you know, I just want to keep in mind also the characters that I list, no matter what order I list them in, if they're in the same tier, I'm not putting one over the other. They're kind of just in a random order, but they're all in the same tier. So that's pretty much my D tier. So moving into C tier, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with Shinobu. If you don't know Shinobu, she is in the champion board that's in the spawn. She's really not that great, which none of the units in C are really that great. They're kind of just okay, I guess. Like, I don't even know what I would call them. They're just not that great. So I have Shinobu, Itadori, which Itadori is cool. You know, his curse damage thing is really cool, but most people are not using curse attacks as their main, or at least the people that I've run into personally, so I don't really think it's that great. And then we have Genos, Boros, Hollow Ichigo, and then the regular Goku. And I know a lot of you guys are confused about the regular Goku. Some of you might think that he's better than what he actually is, so I mean, we can go ahead and view him. You can see, you know, after every player kill, your damage doubles for 10 seconds. That is cool, but I just don't see why that would be the greatest thing in the world. You know, a lot of people do play PvP, so I don't really see the purpose. And then, you know, auto train 75% of your strength, 40% durability. Nerf all damage by 10% is terrible. That's another reason he's gonna be in this tier. And then buffs all damage by 40. 40 is okay, but it's not the best. And then we have, you know, Madara. Madara is cool. He trains the 90% chakra, I believe, but he's just not great. His nerf damage is not that great. His buff damage is not the best either. So I'm just gonna put him there. And then Gojo is also in the champion board. He's in the one that's in the hidden room where MUI is. Gojo's cool. His chakra training and everything like that is decent, so he's not the worst character in the world. He's fairly easy to get. And then Kirito and Asuna. I think with Kirito's gimmick, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, once you're at like 30% HP or something like that, all of his damage is doubled. That's cool, but when are you really gonna be below that HP online? Either you're just gonna completely die because someone's that much stronger than you, or no one's even gonna be able to hardly touch your damage. So I don't think Kirito's that good. Same with Asuna. Asuna's gimmick is cool, but she's really not that great. Her training percentages aren't that great either. And then we have Gon, Shinra. And to go ahead and just sum it up, Gon was like the PvP god back in the day, but he's just not what he is anymore. He trains not the best percentage. His buffs are cool, but it's kind of outdated. And Shinra, I mean, he's kind of just a speed and agility character. I don't really see the purpose of him. I don't know how many of you guys are actually training that stat. So, you know, he could low-key be D tier, but I'm gonna just keep him C tier. And then we have Aurorica, Eraserhead. They really only buff quirk damage, and most people aren't mainly using quirks, so they're not that good. And then we end it with, you know, Deku, which Deku, I think it's his 100% form. He is in the little champion board where MUI is. It's that form that he got whenever he fought Overhaul. And I mean, hey, that was a good fight, but no, I'm gonna keep Deku there because he really doesn't do anything except train, like literally nothing. So now for our B tier, you know, I guess we can go ahead and go through this one as well, because the A and the S tier are kind of the important ones. Although the B tier is really good. Some of the units in B tier are very, very good and optimal, and I would advise you to use some of them. So to start it off, we're going to go ahead and put Itachi, which, you know, Itachi is cool, but he is very outdated. He does have that when you reach 10% of your health, you become like invincible for 8 seconds. That's cool, but when are you really ever going to be below that HP? You're most likely just dead because someone's that much stronger than you. And his 80% chakra is cool, but 20% is terrible. Nerfing damage by 20% is bad, but the buff damage is decent, so that's why I'm putting him in B tier. The 50% buff is really, really good. And then next we have Drip Goku. Drip Goku is good, but his training stats aren't the best. His buff damage is okay, his nerf damage is decent. He's definitely a unit you could use, and then when a player hits you, there's a 50% chance to activate his ultimate move. It's okay, but he's just not that great, but he is optimal. I do advise you to go for him if you do need someone, you know, that's trying to buff damage or anything like that, because his banner is good and it has Yorichi in it. And then next we have Shanks. I don't think really have to go too far into this. You know, at 50% health, 50% of all damage will be redirected back to the enemies for 5 seconds. It's okay. Auto trains 85% of your sword, 50% of your strength, 50% of durability, so he trains a lot of stuff all around. And then his nerf damage is terrible, but the buff damage is decent, and because of those, you know, gimmicks that he has right there, he is going to be in B tier. I think he's decent. And then next I have Asta. Maybe I'm a little biased in this, but I'm a huge Asta fan. I know his durability isn't the best, but he's strictly a PvP character whether you're in the tournament or online, because I use bloodlines heavily. I use the White Eyes bloodline, so Asuna carried me a lot. If you watch my original Chikara farm method, I actually did use Asta in that. So, you know, he nerfs all damage by 25. That's not the greatest, but I have explosive Nova, so it will work. He buffs all damage by 20%. Additionally, you know, the strength moves are nerfed by 80% and buffed by 70%, which that is huge if you don't know, because of White Eyes. The combo that White Eyes does is insane, and then when you're below 10% HP, nerfs all damage by 70. So his nerfs do come into play, although it's really hard to get. And then next we have Kakashi. His dodge gimmick is really good. His training percentages are okay, and you know, I'll just go ahead and put Kakashi there just because he is decent. And then next we have Sasuke. You know, Sasuke does have a decent chakra training percentage. You know, he is a decent character all around, kind of in the same category as Itachi. You can choose either or. I guess it doesn't really matter, but I do like Sasuke, so I will put him in B tier. And then next we have Eren, which, bro, Eren is a really good unit. You know, he trains 90% durability. That was a broken stat when it first came out. And then trains 75% strength. When a player is below 50% health, their damage reduction is increased by 45%. On top of that, all strength specials and abilities are increased by 55%. So he is decent. I just think he's a little outdated, but I do like him. You know, the strength specials and abilities increased by 55% is decent. So I will put him in this tier, especially when he trains 90% and a lot of characters don't. So next we have Zenitsu. Zenitsu's buffs and everything like that, his training percentages are great all across the board. I used him heavily. His sword buffs and everything like that are decent too. Zenitsu is a very reliable character. He was on one of the fighting passes. I think it was the one before this one or the one before that. So I do advise, you know, if you have him, he is there if you don't have a unit to replace him. But, you know, I'm going to go ahead and put Zenitsu just in this tier for the sole purpose of there are better options. And then next we have Eskenor. I mean, you guys already know Eskenor does double all the damage, but it is very limited. It only has to be during a certain time of the day, similar to him in the anime. And his training percentages are good, but the double damage alone is enough to put him there, especially with his nerf damage and all of the, you know, training percentages that he gives you. Which, you know, he is a better Kirito in my opinion. And then next we have Pebble Lee and Bakugo. And I don't know why I said Pebble Lee, I meant Rockley. Rockley is really good. He was my favorite, you know, fighting pass champion up until the new one. I used him heavily every time I possibly could. His buffs and everything like that are great. Everything that he does across the board is great. If you want to put him A tier, you definitely can. He is up there. He's kind of in the mix between B and A, but I think Rockley is really good, and Bakugo is decent too. You know, his percentages are really good as well, and I don't think he's the best option possible, nowhere near the best option, but he is better than Aurorica and Eraserhead and Deku in my personal opinion. You guys can let me know if you feel different about that. And then next we have Mihawk and Meliotis. You know, Mihawk's sword percentages and stuff like that are good. I used him a lot whenever he first came out because he was a really good option when he came out. You know, he's good across the board, and Meliotis is good too. You know, one of the OG PvP kings. You know, everything that he did across the board was great. You know, he was a really good unit to use, especially if you were in the tournament. So just for that, I am going to put him there. He trains 90% on one of his stats, which is decent, like I said before, with Eren, and on top of that, all the stuff that he does as well. So now let's get into the A tier. You know, the A tier is the one that's really important, same with S tier. So let's go ahead and start it off with the new Naruto that did just come out, the KCM Naruto. He auto trains, you know, 110% chakra, 105% strength, buffs all bloodline damage by 55%. And I know his nerf isn't good, but if you're using a bloodline at the Kuruma bloodline, or white eyes. This is insane because of the buff that he gives you with explosive Nova. This is just insane. And then the 110% and the 105% is really good. So let me know how you feel about that. But next we have Rose, and it trains 110% durability, 110 sword, 90% strength. His nerf damage is great. His buff damage is really good. And then when a player hits you, there's an 80% chance, which it's a high chance to activate. I do have a showcase on him. It is a very high chance to activate. So I think Rose is really good. And for that, I'm going to put him in A tier. And then that moves us to the next new person, which is Hawks. 110% durability, 105 speed, 105 agility, and then buffs flight speed, which is really good. I am going to be doing a showcase on him myself. And then he nerfs all damage by 50. The buff damage could be better, but it's okay. And then when hitting a player, there's a 25% chance that Hawks shoots hardened feathers. And if you guys remember the glitch that was out with him, he was one-shotting bosses with that ability. And then next we have Bracoli. I don't really think I have to go too much into this one. 105 sword, 105 speed, 110 durability. He trains good all across the board. Nerf is insane. Well, it's not insane, but it's really good. His buff is really good. And then when a player hits you, there's a 20% chance that you will erase time and bring them to your location, so it auto teleports them to you. I have a showcase on him as well, and Bracoli is really good, and he's still extremely rare in the game, so if you pull him, he's a very good option. And then next we have Yu-Gi-Oh and Marco. You could put Yu-Gi-Oh in B tier if you want, but I think Yu-Gi-Oh is very decent. Actually, yeah, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna put Yu-Gi-Oh in B tier. Scratch that. I think Yu-Gi-Oh is definitely in that tier. I don't know why I had him in A tier. Maybe it's because he's the only champion in the game I don't have, but Yu-Gi-Oh is a B tier. If you want to put him A tier, you definitely can. His training percentages are good. He's just not the best all around. And then as for Marco, same with Nezuko. They're both healers. Just for that, I have to put them in A tier. Sakura is a healer, but she's nowhere near what they are. And their buffs are insane as well. Their nerfs are really good. They're just good everywhere. And the healing alone is just the best part about them. So I have to put them in that tier, especially if you're not using support armament or if you're not using the Phoenix fruit. So they're really good all around. And I'm a heavy Marco user. I used him all the time if you guys watched my videos. And then next we have Pain, and Pain is really good. So Pain trains 110 chakra, 85 strength. His buff damage is okay. His nerf damage is okay, but his training percentages are really good. And then because he buffs all bloodline damage by an additional 55%, if you're using a bloodline, which I always am, this is an insane thing to have. And for that, he has to be A tier. And I mean, look, 110% chakra, there's not hardly anybody in the game that trains that. So just for that, he has to be an A tier. And then next in A tier, we have Gilgamesh, which he trains really good all across the board. 110 sword, durability, and strength. His buff damage is really good. His nerf damage is really good. And then when you're below 50% HP, Gilgamesh will buff your next attack damage by 2.5. I wish they would have just said buffs all damage by, double or 2.5 times, not just the next attack that you do. So mainly for that, he's gonna be an A tier. I would put him S tier, but because of that gimmick and it's only one attack, I'm gonna have to put him in A tier. But he is good all around the board. He's an insane character to have, and I hope a lot of you guys grinding for the battle pass do end up getting him. And then next we have Facita Ultra Ego, which if you don't know this form, he is from the manga. He's from the recent arc that was happening whenever he was fighting, and it is a really decent, unit in the game. 130% durability, 125 strength. His buff damage is insane. His nerf damage is really good. And then, he has his ultimate move. When attacking a player, Facita will use his ultimate move on them, which means he will. So he is a really good character all around. Facita is really good, and there was that glitch with him where he was one-shotting the bosses. So I think Vegeta is a really great character, and I'm surprised they actually added that form into the game. And then to end off all of our A tier characters, we are going to go ahead and put Rin Goku. And like I said, they're not really in order. As long as they're in the tier together, they are all in the same tier. So trains 105 sword, 95 strength, 50% durability. His nerf damage is okay, but his buff damage is insane. And then players hit by your sword style will be set on fire. Additionally, when you're below 20% HP, players who hit you will be set on fire. So he's a good unit all around. This is definitely a PvP unit. I highly recommend using him if you have him, unless you have stat percentages that are better than this. But he is a really good character, so I am going to put him in A. Alright, now for the S tier. This is what you came to the video for. For S tier, it is to no surprise, and this one will be in order. MUI Goku, or Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku, is the best character in the game. Him and Rimaru, you can pick and choose which one, but I think these two are the best in the game overall. I mean, look at MUI. 140 chakra, 140 strength, buffs all damage by 50%, nerfs all damage by 60%, and then when you're below 90% HP, you will awaken Ultra Instinct, giving you a huge damage speed and defense buff. It was almost 3 times the damage that I was doing. I have a showcase on him as well. He's an insane character, a PvP and a PvE character. It's just an insane character to have in the game. In my opinion, the best, although you could say Rimaru, which that brings us to the next character, which is Rimaru. Rimaru is the next character in the game. Look at his all-around percentages: 140 chakra, 130 durability, 120 sword, 110 strength, buff all damage by 60%, and then nerf all damage by 65%. When you're below 25% HP, Rimaru will use his ultimate ability to attack all nearby players, which means it's an AoE attack, and then you get an additional damage buff, which I have a showcase on Rimaru as well. He's an insane character, and I believe the attack he was doing was gluttony or glutony. I can't remember how to pronounce it. Please let me know down below if it is a different move, but Rimaru is just an insane character. And then next, we could go ahead and say Akaza. Akaza is a really good character. If you guys remember me trying to get him, he's the character that took me like 2.5 months to get. His training 130 is good, 130 durability, nerfs all damage by 60, buffs all damage by 60, and then buffs all demon arts by 60. And then when below 25% HP, you regenerate 30% HP instantly, and when a player hits you, there's a 20% chance that you will teleport and attack them, which means he automatically teleports you there. And a lot of people are sleeping on Akaza, bro. Y'all are saying that he's not even worth going for anymore with MUI and Rimaru coming out. You were absolutely tripping. Akaza's still top 3 in the game. I don't care what anybody says. A top tier 10 out of 10 unit. His healing is good, and then if you're using Explosive Nova with a demon art, whether it's his or Nezuko's or whoever you're using, his damage is cracked, like I'm telling you. And then next, we have Yorichi. I mean, this is no surprise. Yorichi is an S tier character. He's definitely a top 5 character in the game, top 4 in my opinion. If you look at all the stats that he trains, as well as the buffs and nerf he gives you, and then with the sword style, he gives you another buff. So if you're using Moon style with Yorichi and you're using, your Explosive Nova, he's just an insane unit, arguably the best in the game when you're using all of those combos together. So for that, I have to put Yorichi, in S tier. Shout out to my boy. And then to end it off, we have Bracoli, and I know a lot of you guys are confused about this one, but I'm gonna tell you why. Alright, so his auto train, he does 140 durability, 120 chakra. That's cool. Buffs all damage by 40. That's cool as well. And then nerfs all damage by 60%, which you're thinking that's okay, that's like an A tier. But read this next one. When you're below 50% HP, you gain an extra 50% nerf to all incoming attacks, which means his nerf goes even crazier. And if you're using Explosive Nova, the nerf goes even crazier. So I think Broly's an S tier character. I've tested his damage. He's better than a lot of units in the game, and just for that, I'm gonna put him S tier. So let me know how you guys feel about my list. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want to see more tier lists in the future, and that's pretty much gonna do it for the video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Peace.